What is going on, everybody? Welcome back once again to the #1 live tuning show in all of existence. It is another live Thursday after a Thanksgiving in which I punished myself multiple times over. I hope you all did the same. I feel like I've put on 15 pounds in the last 3 months, and it's probably because I have. Getting chubby. I need to get back to dieting. So, got a lot of friendly faces in here. It's good to see everybody. What is going on? Cicero, Scuba Sand, Michael, Damien, Andrew, how's everything down under, brother? Hey, WS6, good to see you. I hope you got my email I sent you earlier today. Super Slow, Cole, Ted, Jason N, Chevy for Life. What is up? Hey, Brad. I was thinking about you the other day. Was doing a 17 Camaro and was dealing with the same thing where it would go into reduced power mode trying to do MAF tuning. Did we ever do anything? Like, just never seen it. Didn't really mess with anything. Hey, J Fitness. What up, Gutless? Hey, TJ. Brad. The other Brad. Craig. What's going on? Jay. Good to see you. Sheldon, a lot of new faces in here. Good to see you. So, crack open a cold one and worry about the waistline later. That is why the waistline is what it is. Did you have to do anything? You know, I hate that platform because you can't turn off closed loop properly. It does that weird reduce engine log stuff or engine power stuff. It's just a pain. No problem, Mike. I probably won't get till it towards tomorrow. I've got an appointment in the morning, but after that, I'll get checked out. Hey, LS Tuning. What's going on, brother? Michael. Chevy for Life still have the problem with my car with the random misfire. Random on one cylinder or random all over. Did a condenser on a 2017 Yukon the other day. Collapsed an AFM lifter on startup when oh my goodness. Oh man. Hey man, I got a Gen 4 and I'm catless and got a new cold air intake. What should I dial in? Man, just start with mass airflow. Be easy. Good question. Schmidhead, do you need to retune for winter gas? Listen, probably not, but not a bad idea. Now let me qualify that. Closed loop system is going to do most of the corrections on that. Timing maybe not as happy on the winter gas. Keep that in mind. But honestly, if you got the ability, not a bad idea to throw that thing into open loop every 3 or 4 months, pull a log and see if any adjustments need to be made. So especially if you're having an area that has terrible winter gas. '17s are really weird, Scuba Sam. They're really weird. You can't turn off closed loop, and they have a weird, reduced engine power whenever you go into MAF only mode. That's not a real reduced engine power. It's idle settings for an HP on a Ramjet. Dale, what are you doing? Elaborate. What up, Eric? Well, I kept it from pulling timing and it seemed to have fixed it, but yeah, flashed it since then. I think I had flashed it base off an older tune. It might still be pulling timing. I'm not sure. Well, you think it was just the timing pull that you were feeling that felt like the misfire? It shouldn't. What needs to be tuned or disabled if you're catless? Well, everything needs to be tuned if you're catless because it creates all kind of airflow mode. As far as disabled, you know, I don't know if I should say the EPA keeps on cracking down. Just look for anything that says sensor 2 in your DTC list. Bank 1, Bank 2, but the sensor 2s are what you're looking for. Sure thing, Tommy. No hurry, man. I'll be here. Okay, that's what we were doing. I mean, that's what we are doing. Start car, let it fail, go into control. Go to fuel tab, turn off closed loop, reset the fault, and then start logging. Okay, perfect. Just wanted to verify. I meant to reach out to you, but I think he got it figured out before I even tried. After tuning VVE, my MAF is about 3.5% lean. Should I richen up the MAF table? Yes, that's normal. Schmidthead, that is normal, and that's why you've heard me talk recently a lot about doing MAF, VVE, and then going back to MAF because of that dynamic airflow. Even whenever you're doing the MAF the first time, the virtual volumetric efficiency table is affecting it. Whenever you correct the virtual volumetric, the VVE table, and go back to MAF, you will see that it has skewed your original MAF adjustments. And so you need to correct it again. Chevy for Life, have you done a crank trigger relearn? I think you did, but just off the head. DD cam recommendation, daily driving cam recommendation, L77 6-liter with LS3 top end. Man, Cicero, I'm not the guy to recommend cams for you. I'm not a cam guy. There's guys like Richard Holdner out there that if you post on one of his videos, he will probably get back to you with cam specs. That's good for that, and that guy is a cam wizard. Dale, give me more details on your setup. 2000 Z28 rods, pistons, cam ported heads, etc. High flowing car. Car is fouling plugs, loading up, rich at idle. Yep. It's pretty typical. Just started installing AM300300 today. Which AFR idle should I target? 14.7, man. And Damien, go ahead and go in there to your VE table and take 20% out, man. Because whenever you get a healthy cam and a lot of flowing heads and stuff like that, you lose a lot of efficiency down, below 1500 RPMs, and that's what you're seeing right there. I have twin 78mm turbos on my Gen 6 Camaro. Runs really good, but I can't keep the throttle open all the time. Please point me in the right direction. You can't keep the throttle open all the time as in you're having issues with the throttle closing even though it's wide open throttle. There's a lot of things that could be going on there, David, specifically around the torque management stuff whenever you start making the kind of power that you're making. Gen 6, what year is that, David? Oh, don't act like you don't have strict laws in Australia about modifications, Andrew. If you're quick and you can turn it off for fault test runs, not even get fault. That's interesting. Good to know. What was your advice on adjusting for hot startup and the car was not wanting to start? Big thing is look at what you're having to do to get it to start, whether or not you're having to give it a little bit of pedal or a lot of pedal. A little bit of pedal means you need a little bit more fuel when it's hot. You can try adjusting the cranking VE table, but you may have better luck on the fuel FA table that's over. It's far right of the fuel tab. You'll see the one is the one that's based on temperatures. You can make adjustments on temperatures there. Hey, Dad. Just on that one, doing MAF only. Not that I've done it, but zeroing out VE table thoughts. I don't necessarily know that I would zero out the VE table because, listen, even MAF only, you're still leaning harder on the VE table during transients. So I would probably adjust the MAF and then look at the adjustments that I made from the MAF from stock and see how much I've shifted it up and say I've added an average of 10% or so. I would just do a base shift to the VE table up 10%, and that should keep you in the ballpark. Besides, if you're MAF only and for some reason the mass airflow fails whenever you're under a wide open throttle pull, it's going to go back over to the VE table and it's going to cut all your fuel and you have the chance of blowing a motor up. I mean, technically, if it cut all the fuel, it shouldn't. You got me thinking. It'll work. Oh, Joe Simpson coming in with the twister here. Gen 3 ECU runs perfect, but will shut off once it gets to max RPM. Supposed to come to be diagnosed next week. Never seen that before. How about you? Nope. Sounds like a bad driver in the ECU, though. Maybe ignition driver or something's running out of juice on the top or on the top end of the RPMs? Well, Danny, we'll get that sorted out. 2017. Yeah, David, you want to look at the virtual torque stuff. You're dealing with the same stuff that Danny Carwile is right now. Virtual torque is limiting you, and it's basically you're making more power that's within the virtual torque tables. And so it's saying, hey, we've exceeded this set point, start closing the throttle to get the torque back down. I've got a couple videos on it that should steer you in the right direction. If you have any more follow-up questions, either hit up the Patreon or come find us next Thursday on the live show. Looking at that, currently run NGK TR6 plugs, 35 gap, 11-to-1 compression. Stick with the TR6, maybe gap them a little bit tighter there, Damien. Go 30 to 32. So I made a pop bang tune on my Camaro, but I want more flames. How do I add more fuel to the map? Go into the low areas where you're off throttle of your VE table and bump those numbers up. Yeah, it's all virtual torque, David. Pretty standard issue. MAF characterization is independent of VVE smoke show, but the final fuel calculation is done off of dynamic, which includes both MAF and VVE, regardless. You cannot run MAF without the VVE skewing it. You can run VVE, obviously, without the MAF because you can fail the MAF, but not vice versa. Will not work. Random question, doing a meet and drag weekend, possibly super slow. We may look at that 2021 based on, or 2022, I guess is going to be next year based on how everything shakes out. Stay tuned. (2021) Camaro SS fuel system able to handle a flex tune if stock. Michael, I mean, it can handle it. The question is whether or not you'll run out of injectors. And so you're just going to have to pay attention to that duty cycle. Make sure that you're, or not duty cycle, but pulse width. Make sure that you're not approaching that. Generally, whenever you see a lot of these DI motor guys going over to flex fuel, they're usually running around 30, 40, maybe 50% blend at the most. Sure thing, super slow. I'll remember that. Hey, Holly. A lot of good questions tonight. Keep them coming. I mean, we're only 10 minutes in, too. Well, let me go back up. Have you ever seen bad cam sensors or a cam timing issue with VVT causing misfire problem under load at part throttle? I mean, yeah, you would get a code for the cam sensors if the cam timing was far enough out. No beer tonight. When installing my wideband sensor, should I install the sensor after my O2 sensor is swapped in around so the wide? You know, I like to have the wideband as close to the engine as possible, but when you're talking, you know, inches like that, Damien, it's not going to be a big ordeal. Ooh. Do you think I should flush my water methanol system with distilled water while being stored over the winter? I mean, it's water methanol. It's not going to freeze, but I would be afraid of just putting straight distilled water in there. You might crack a line. Into LS tuning. I've got another video that will be coming out probably tomorrow that's a follow-up. And it's very interesting because I dive more into it and start tweaking that filter more and seeing how the actual hertz reading coming back from the mass airflow sensor adjust off of that. Oh, no, you're correct, Smoke Show. Yeah, you wouldn't correct the MAF table for a large intake tube and then dump those same proportional changes into the VVE. Yes, yes. Everything being the same, though, if you were doing bolt-ons and stuff like that. Listen, we don't condone MAF-only tunes, so, I mean, I'll go ahead and say that right away. That's my biggest pet peeve, but yes. Oh, you got a heated garage? Yeah, dude, you'll be fine. What is a safe pulse width on? 6 milliseconds, man. If you're breaking 6 milliseconds at wide open throttle, you're getting close to the edge. Getting ready to start tune from Gen 4 and Gen 5. Do you have to tweak virtual torque tables? Not on 4, on 5 you do. And don't worry about that stuff till you get towards the end of it on the 5th gens. Work on getting your airflow stuff dialed in, because the torque values, listen, the torque values in the virtual torque table are based off of your airflow calculations. And the main area that you run into issues with virtual torque on the 5th gen stuff is whenever you're going from naturally aspirated to boosted, because you're getting into parts of the torque tables that are not calculated. And so essentially those things work in a way that as you increase air mass, as you somehow manage to make more air by, removing restrictions and stuff like that, it should compensate for the additional torque that you're creating. You shouldn't need to, make a big, huge adjustment on that side of things. But so how long did it take you to get your tune correct with the header install on your vet? Jesse, I have not finished the tune on there. I've just been playing around with it. I've only put maybe 20 miles on it since I got the header install done. And most of it was doing that MAF filter stuff, which was, as I said, super interesting stuff. And I think, I don't know how good it's going to be. It could potentially be something that helps with transient fueling on, once again, MAF only tunes. How do we keep on circling back to MAF only tunes? Another dumb question, because I keep seconding myself about pulling the trans. Anywhere you see ever see a failed rear end break a transmission? 4L60, of course. I mean, if you broke the rear end, man, just throw the drive shaft in with a new rear end and see if it goes. I've done all kinds of stupid stuff to transmissions. Hell, I towed the Power Glide in reverse for 5 miles. I've broken the tail housing on the 6L80 twice and not had to repair the transmission. It's like I say, just give it a try. If it's dead already, it's dead. Drum method. Hey, Kyle, on a 21 Gen 6 Camaro LT1 engine with cast deleted recently, will using HP tuners disable the check engine mill lights affect engine performance? No, won't affect engine performance. I gotta be careful what I say about all these people deleting cats, man. I'm seeing too many of the EPA letters going out. I don't need them coming after me. MAF filter is not available on the E67. I would have thought of all the 4th gen platforms that the E67 would have been the one with the MAF filter. That's very interesting. But I was just farting around and I was looking at it and I was like, I wonder what this does. Let's play with it. And that's generally how I do everything, is just like, I wonder what this does. Man, the 3rd gens have the air mass filter. Are you sure? Excuse me. Where are my 4th gen E67? Now, it has MAP filters. That's very interesting. Yep. Well, learn something new every day. Chasing in. Hello, fellow car enthusiast. How about I delete my EPA equipment? Oh, he had kitten in his cars and wanted to figure out how to get rid of the kitten codes. They nailed Evans Performance, man, and they're not a big shop. FFE. Cadillac converter. Yes, we're talking about Cadillac stall converters. How do I tune out my Cadillac stall converter? Warm startup, AFR is reading super lean at idle. For a while it becomes okay. Start driving, but it doesn't happen all the time. Would that be the cranking table? No, probably not the cranking table. Probably the fuel multi-stage cranking fuel table under fuel. Well, yes, the cranking table. The one that's under fuel, not the one under airflow. Look at the one under fuel, not under airflow, because that's the one that's temperature-based. Oh, and Andrew George brings up a good point. Check your IET temps and make sure that they're not wonky. What effect on power and air fuel would loose spark plugs cause on a Turbo Gen 3 LS1? All kinds of fun stuff. Depending on, well, for one, you know, if you're running closed loop, you're going to end up pulling a lot of fuel out, which could be dangerous. And so you're going to get into detonation. It's going to cut a lot of timing. Loose spark plugs, all kinds of bad stuff. Members on YouTube, you get awesome things by your name, and I do YouTube members only videos and early releases. Now the Patreon's the big one where you get all the tuning assist and stuff like that. You have to go through the website to get to it. Gen 3 6-liter engine, cam stage 2. Engine goes off when I full accelerate and park. What is it with everybody having... Are you the guy that's going over to Joe's? It's the second guy today with a Gen 3 that has it engine go off whenever you full accelerate. Whenever you full accelerate and park, you shouldn't even be able to full accelerate and park, right? There an additional limiter for park? Maybe not on the Gen 3s. No, I guess there is, but maybe it's maxed out. I don't know. I'm looking right now. That's interesting. Vacuum leaks have been plaguing everybody lately. My brother works for Summit. Guy calls in and says he's got a part number. It's P0087. That's one of the best things that I've heard. So your kittens are cut. I disabled the lights since they're gone. Isn't there a table that will make the computer know it's not being restricted anymore? No. No, but you can turn off your kitten over temp settings if you haven't already. You don't need those. Correct. As N2LS says, only adjust supply multipliers or temp offsets. If your VVE and MAF tables are good whenever you're up to temperature and stuff like that, leave that stuff alone and look for any tables that modify during the stage that you're having issues, which is normally during startup and things like that, because making adjustments directly to those tables are just going to throw your fueling calculations off. So it's normal for O2 oscillation to be sporadic at idle and look more normal when driving. Yes, Damien, sorry. That is totally normal just because it's an airflow thing. So you just got to keep in mind that whenever you're driving, you're getting a lot more exhaust flow across the O2 sensors, and it's also filling in the exhaust pipe. There's a lot of things down low that just, you know, closed loop systems at idles just don't work. And the more modified an engine is, the more it struggles. If you look at, and Joe can attest to this if he's still here because he had to help me out with the Smoke Monster, I had to turn closed loop off at idle because if I left closed loop on at idle with that big block, it was just terrible. And so, you know, it can't work. Good starting point for flex fuel PE Gen 5. Yeah, keep it at A5. You could go a little bit leaner under flex fuel if you want to, especially if it's naturally aspirated, Michael. On your Impala, I could change the park neutral rev limiter and somehow cause power enrichment to be disabled. Well, that sounds like some typical BS, like, why is these tables connected? One DIY brother, so I'm going to drop the kittens for a crack pipe, and I only got 2 oxygen bungs on the hats. I have a wideband, so I delete the other 3 cinders, 2 kittens, 1 driver side. Just if you don't want to add another bung, just swap out one of the narrow bands for a wideband, then put the narrow band in whenever you're done. SB, there's 2 options. There's one that is email based, and then there's the higher tier one that will give you one-on-one video chat every month. Joe, sorry, I do not speak Spanish. If you could, and even my weak Spanish, I can't make out very much of what you're saying. Other than Latin American, include, looks like tradition and tradition in Spanish. Thank you. A little rusty. Would you replace the lifters when doing a cam swap? Yes, you have to. Unless you're going over to another displacement on demand cam, you have to. 615 on the dyno with the P1X. Headers, meth, 10.7s. 167, 60 foot. Is that good performance? Yeah, that's getting it. How much boost are you running, Craig? MDO. People go SD back in the day because the Gen 3 stuff had a very low cap on the amount of airflow that the mass airflow could calculate. So you see a lot of SD stuff on Gen 3s. See you, Tech K. Gen 3 VE tuning under fuel power enrichment and EQ ratio gas. What do you think about changing the whole table 117 while tuning? Perfectly fine. You can leave it there. What is that? What's that calculation? I'll get my calculator out. 1 divided by 1.17. That puts you at 854. Yeah, just leave it there. It's about perfect. 7 PSI. That's real good, Craig. Good power on 7 PSI. I would set it and forget it, most likely. What up, Jose? Did you get my email today? Assuming the MAF is not pegged, any benefits to SD. Running SD only or just tuning SD? I mean, running SD only, no. No benefits to it. If you're naturally aspirated, like, you're not going to max out the MAF. It's only whenever you're going boosted. Then you're going to go over into one of those 2-bar, 3-bar custom OSs anyway. So, yeah, run both if you can. Ugh, Mike, hate to hear it, man. But with as expensive as gas is, I don't blame you. SD, and on top of it, on Gen 3, speed density is so easy to tune. So I can also understand why people would do speed density only and just not mess with the MAF, because you basically just do away with it. The MAF just wasn't that good on the 3rd gens. Sweet, man. I'll be anxious to look at it. Jose's got a neural network truck with a supercharger on it that we've been tuning, and it's been very fun to dive into neural networking stuff. Whenever we get it all buttoned up, I'll kind of do a review on all the stuff, talking more about how it works, how well it works. It's not working as well as I would like it to. I'm seeing improvements in the fueling, but it's not quite like virtual volumetric efficiency. Whenever you make a change, you know, on VVE, you make a change and it has to extrapolate out the data to make it make sense within the math for the VVE. The neural networking works much in the same way. Whenever you make the change, it has to do the same thing, but it has to be ran through a training program that is back at HP Tuner's headquarters. And it seems like whenever it goes through the training program, man, it just knocks the bottom end out of some of the changes that you've made. So it is very sensitive to completely smoothing out the tables that you're building on neural networking. SB, I will shoot you an email as soon as we get done here with details on how to get everything set up, man. Thank you for joining the Patreon. Welcome to the group. Watch the latest video. We're getting ready to have a drawing for the Hurst quarter stick out of the Superado with the unlucky 7-ball shifter on top of it. You still got time to join that. So if you watch the latest patron video, you can find out how to join to win that. Probably be doing the drawing for that this weekend. Anyone else running into painfully slow E85 pumps in the cold weather? I've not pumped E85 in a little while. Hey, Jonathan Blunt, good to see you, brother. Jose, I have been making spark timing adjustments every couple of adjustments, but mainly we're still focused on the neural networking side of getting the fueling sorted out. Ben, we were literally talking about you earlier in this, so whenever this wraps up here in a couple minutes, Ben, go back and watch this live show, and Brad and I were talking specifically about the things that we had to do on Brad's car during the same process that you're going through right now that might give you some insight. So instead of me rehashing everything, yeah, you know, let's go HP Academy. Instead of me rehashing everything, just go back and watch it. It's like in the first 10 minutes. Okay, Ben? Man, I just turn my head and don't even pay attention. Yeah, and surprisingly, Jose, there's only some mid-area stuff that's really had some issues because I kind of took some preemptive timing out of the top end since you're boosted, and so I'm just kind of working on some of the mid stuff timing to make sure that you're not getting any detonation. That's what I'm talking about, Cicero, the neural networking stuff. And the thing about it is the neural networking stuff works great to a certain level of modifications, and then you get outside of the scope that the basically the AI was trained for. And so once you get out of that scope, you have to basically update the input data and retrain the artificial intelligence. Jesse, yeah, HP Academy does cover some HP Tuner stuff. Go over, you can browse all of their classes and stuff like that. And they've got some free ones and things like that. And if you see a class, make sure you use my code that's in all of my descriptions. In fact, I think there's one you can try, probably GOAT75 and get $75 off. Do you know much about Dodge tuning? I know enough to not like it. What are you trying to do, SB? That'll be the big question. Dodge tuning is better than Ford tuning, I'll tell you that much. I've not dove into the neural networking on the Dodge side, but I've done some of the standard VE tuning by disabling neural network on the Dodge. It's not too bad. Was typical max timing, wide open throttle, upper range, 6 to 7 RPM in a engine, depending on a lot of things, mainly compression ratio. Could be anywhere between 22 and 32 degrees. That would be my guess, without knowing all the details, Damien. And what else we got? That's about it. I think we're going to wrap. Wait a second. Jonathan says, I was getting some knock sensor correlation code during my SD tuning. Once I'm done, I'll re-enable the code and see if it repops. Interesting. Let me know about that. My week has been good. My week has been good. No complaints. Thank you for asking, Jonathan. Appreciate it. Hey, Joshua, you're slipping in right at the end. Damien, you know, you're getting probably close to the maximum amount of power that you're going to be making off of your timing around 29 degrees, but I would keep on going to see if you can get up to about 32. ABT, everybody, ABT. Back's doing great. I will say this much. I have gone to the chiropractor, I don't know, 12 or 13 times. In the last couple weeks, I've had multiple injections in my back. My back is doing the best it's done in, I'm getting old. My back feels the best that it's felt in years. So, and I'm actually going to the doctor tomorrow to adjust my medication again for my tremors because they put me on the new medication about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And that stuff's been a little bit interesting, but it seems to be working. And so we'll see. We'll see. Maybe one of these days I'll be able to actually hold a camera and videotape myself. Yeah, I do need to get TENS units. Yeah. Well, it's the new medication I'm on right now changed the frequency of the tremors, but not the amplitude so much. But I am on the lowest dosage of that medication. So I'm going to have to, I'm going to see if we can get it dialed up. Which fuel with high timing? High timing, you always want to run the best fuel that you can. Run the best fuel that you can for high timing because the best fuel is just detonation prevention. Hey man, glad to do it. Thanks, Jason. Glad to see you guys again. Can't wait to see you guys next Thursday. You guys know the drill. Thanks for stopping by the garage. Remember, ABT, always be tuning. I didn't hit the end button. Let me end it now.